There's coffee in that nebula.
How you doing, fellas?
Oh, shit. Okay.
That's no decaf, is it?
Viennese cinnamon.
I mean, that's pretty much the way I sound in the morning, isn't it? Like those little aliens.
Not since you've been using Fuel Up.
Oh, yeah. Fuel Up. That's the sponsor of this show, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know why they sponsor us, but they do. Thank you. Got to say good morning to everybody. I hope it's a good midweek for you. Hump day. Every day is hump day with me, at least according to my girlfriend. I got Chris to laugh. Don is not here today. Look, he got some sort of rhinovirus over the weekend from Vicky. Vicky got it first. She thought it was her allergies, and then clearly sick as hell. And Don, being the cuddly little lovey-dovey guy that he is, he got it. And I talked to him yesterday. He was rough around the edges. I could hear it in his voice. And then he was going to try to make it today, but then he woke up this morning. He says, we had a terrible night. Terrible. So he will not be here today for UFO Wednesday or this afternoon. And this afternoon show is going to be big. We've got our guests that are showing up. Boone, the sniper from Benghazi that was featured in the film 13 Hours, the real guy, not the actor playing him. And we also have the young lady who, I say young, I'm not sure what her age is, but you never guess a woman's age because you're going to get in trouble. It's Sarah Adams.
Get in big trouble.
Big trouble. Sarah Adams, who wrote the book Know Thy Enemy. She is still an active CIA analyst. And she's the one who did the investigation into Benghazi. And she's close friends with Boone. So it's a coup that I got to have both of them on today. It's going to be great. But without Don, I'm struggling because I need to find somebody. And Chris wonderfully has a sniper buddy. Yeah, it's like this is something he pulls out of his pocket. That's why I like being friends with Chris. Yeah, I know this guy.
Yeah, I know this guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
I know a guy.
Yeah, we can get you a deal.
You're like Scott, my buddy, the sound guy. He always knows a guy. Except for this weekend, you'll find this funny. It's like I told him, I said I was going to go clean up that. We have a dirt pile under the tree in the front yard. And they had to fill in some divots, some holes in the yard from gophers. And I said, yeah, I could dig that up. You got a wheelbarrow? He says, no, I don't have a wheelbarrow. I'm like, yeah, I can't do buckets because of my back. I said, but I can do a wheelbarrow and dig up or, fill those holes and remove the dirt. And he goes, I don't have a wheelbarrow. Don't you know a guy with a wheelbarrow? And he looked at me for a second and goes, it's the one time you got me on that. I don't know a guy with a wheelbarrow.
Hey,
Always knows a guy.
we have this one from Monkey.
Monkey, you must think you'll come again. Oh, good. It's great. It's another breach. You can play a breach video for him. Play one that he really likes or ones that he doesn't like. He stays anyway because he loves us as much as we love him.
What did I just tell you? Who's the pitcher? Who's the catcher?
You're the pitcher and the catcher. You're the pitcher and the catcher. See?
Yes. Andy Morrow is here from the UK. Sean Estep, good morning. Let's see who else. Penny, of course. Danny's mom. It's always good to see you, Penny. Slasher Fred's here. Good morning, man. And of course, our good friend Joe is here. Everything is good, except for, of course, Don. I feel bad. I hope he gets to feeling better because, man, rhinoviruses. Well, you had that one virus.
And that RSV.
Yeah,
Gary, that thing kicks your butt. I mean, it's very dangerous to babies, but also it's very dangerous to older people. You know, if you're in the middle, it's just a nuisance. But man, it's just that virus that just keeps on coming.
Hey, Gary, did you see Joe's message? It says he'll be on this afternoon for an hour and a half. So
that'll be great, Joe. Well, I need somebody that also knows a lot about what we're going to be talking about, Benghazi. So maybe if you could read up a little bit, Jeff, for this afternoon.
Homework.
Maybe check out who Sarah Adams is, the author, the CIA analyst. And I will tell you that she is still actively working for the CIA, so she's not going to be able to answer. Look, I'm not going to say she's lying. I'm not going to say that. But I know that she's not going to say things that could risk her job working for the CIA. And so, like, certain opinions that Don and I have about a certain person that we blame for shit that went down with Benghazi, she is not going to share that opinion because she doesn't want to show up in a park.
In the water.
Yeah, or in the water, or found somewhere.
Face down.
Face down with 2 holes in her, suicide. Because I'm still befuddled by that one. National Park, found in a car with 2 bullet holes in them. Suicide.
And you know what the amazing part? And this is unbelievable, but the amazing part is that the caliber that entered the skull was not the caliber of the gun holding in his hand.
Oh, I missed that. That's even worse.
You gotta check that one out. They go, this is a little strange. He's holding like this caliber gun, but the caliber bullets.
Oh, he just loaded a different caliber in. Is what happened.
What's that?
He just loaded a different caliber into the gun. That's what happened.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah, it's like
after he shot himself. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh man, I went to reload. Jesus Christ, that show's a mess.
I know a person who actually worked for the Clintons on the transition team. He's a lawyer, and he was explaining things about Bill and Hillary. And I says, "Hey, come on my show and let's talk about it." And he goes, "Nope." I go, "Why?" He goes, "You don't understand. I like living.
I don't want to be suicided." That's right.
I like living and stuff. So I said, okay.
I'm so happy that we're small enough that I say things that I won't be. But when I become a blip on their radar, I might shut the hell up. We'll see. So far in my life, I've never shut the hell up about things. So I doubt.
I will tell you, I don't know if you've been following the Jeffrey Epstein thing, but there was some stuff that I just came out. I guess they found Epstein's calendar. They had everything, and people don't want to put it. I don't know why they're not putting it out there, but there's resistance to putting out the names of the people who were on that flight. One person said, "I saw what was going on." He was on the flight with Clinton, one of the Clintons, and he says, "I saw what was going on," and I says, "This ain't for me." And they actually sent him home. They took him and sent him right back home.
I got to tell you, she's a scary woman.
Yeah, well, at least one of the persons has the initials of WJC. William Jefferson Clinton.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I was trying to investigate that portrait of him in a dress.
That's just creepy.
Yeah. It's all
in Monica's dress.
Yeah, it's her dress. It's creepy. It's creepy as hell.
Yeah, it is.
But have you ever lost the bleeps, the sweeps, or the creeps on your radar, like in Spaceballs? No, but I sure have been surrounded by a bunch of assholes.
I am not one of them, just for the record.
I'm not saying now. I'm just saying I have been. I love that line in the movie. I'm surrounded by a bunch of assholes because that's their last name.
By the way, Mexican Iron Man would like to point out that any references to Mexican Iron Guy on that calendar is not the same as Mexican Iron Man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
How you doing, Mikey?
Sure, Mikey.
Mikey is another one I was tempted to invite to this afternoon if you wanted to join. Because I mean it's going to be a really interesting show having Sarah and Boone on. I mean the sniper from Benghazi is just I'm nervous. I don't get nervous. I got nervous before our interview with Zach last week. I've known Zach for like 4, 5, 6 years. I've been friends with that guy. Still got nervous with him. Why? I mean, I've shit on him in person. Joking around, still makes me nervous talking to him. That's because I admire him so much.
Look at this.
Yeah, Boone's on the show today. He's going to be on this afternoon. Boone and Sarah Adams. She's the CIA analyst that wrote the book Know Thy Enemy, which is the investigation that was officially done. She was the official analyst and investigator for Benghazi.
Yeah.
And,
Gary, one of the things about that, that was such a misconception is they tried to say that Benghazi was done because of a YouTube video.
Yeah,
that man went through.
It was
hell.
a lie.
Yeah,
they knew it was a lie. It wasn't like, we're wrong. No, they absolutely knew going into it that wasn't what caused it. There's a reason why the date was picked. That date has been important since the war with the Ottomans.
Right.
Because the Ottomans were stopped on September 11th. And that's why that date's important.
The question I would love to ask Sarah one of these days, and I've never asked this question, and I've known her. Did they know this was going to come? Because there's always
you're
been
welcome
a lot
to pop in for the show today if you want to talk to her.
I'll try, but I don't know if I can. But that's an important question because you could see so many of our tragedies, the national tragedies that's happened, like 9/11 and everything else. We've had intelligence failures where we knew this was going to happen. I was told that the Oklahoma bombing, there was information about that was going to happen. 9/11, and there was no cross talk of intelligence that they could put pieces together. So I'm wondering, was Benghazi something that could have been avoided? Could they have said, oh, wow, this is going to happen, get that ambassador?
Well, you go into it and they're already lying. That tells you that they were aware.
Yeah.
That there was a buildup there. And there were requests going into it for more support.
One of the things that was very, very strange is that normally in an annex like that, because that's American property, there would have been a contingent of Marines, specially trained Marines, that would have been there supporting the State Department. They didn't have that.
We're going to get into that this afternoon. So if you can make it, that'd be great. The more the merrier. I just feel awful that Don's not going to be there because I just love having him on the show because, it's Don. Don fucking Ecka.
Don. My
it's
man.
Don. And I mean, it's this guy.
Those sons of bitches.
I'm telling you, every time I talk to him, even off the record, when we're talking just as friends, that always comes up. He just gets mad at somebody like the governor of California or the mayor of the city of Los Angeles, and that'll come right out of his mouth.
Look, that reminds me. I got to go to the main studio right now real quick. Let's see. Where's it at? Got a new video I posted last night. Here we go. I put this up just for Don, but it's also for when Kyle shows up. You know, Zach's. When Zach shows up, this is just for Zach's.
I want to offer you a full promotion, right? Better hours, better pay, better parking space. In fact, Kyle's parking space. Hey, fuck you, Kyle.
Congratulations.
Fuck you, Kyle. That is from the new movie Renfield. And that movie cracked me up. I laughed my butt off at that movie. It's ridiculous. It's silly as hell. It's weird, you know, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you haven't seen Renfield, if you get a chance to watch it. It's a bizarre film, but fun. You get to watch, what's his name? Nick Cage chew the scenery in this film as Dracula. Sometimes literally, literally, not just figuratively. But let me get back to the other one. UFO.
Okay. I have a comment for Jeebus, who's using your new moniker in a conversation with Slasher Fred. Jeebus, your comment is highlighted, but we do not grant you with another video.
Yeah. You get one per show.
It's like Spider-Man. You get one. Wait a second. What is this? One of these days you should do one where you talk about the classic Nickelodeon series, because they used to have some great shows back then. One of my favorites is Secret World of Alex Mack. I watched a lot of Nick with my daughter because she grew up when Nick was really getting big. SpongeBob, all that shit, you know. Her favorite thing was iCarly, and I actually enjoyed that damn show with her. And it started us on a tradition of eating spaghetti tacos because Carly's brother made them all the time on the show. And we would make them. I get the little flattened bottom taco shells, make some delicious spicy spaghetti, and then load it into those. You got to bake those shells. They got to be really crisp. And man, oh man, it was good.
I was going to say, if you wouldn't have been watching it with your daughter, I'd be asking for your man card back.
Oh, look, you know what I watch. I watch stuff that's awesome. But when I'm with my daughter, she wanted to watch like silly shit. And because of it, I'd sit down with her and watch it, you know, because we like spending time together when she was little. And not like today. Have to mention that it was Polish and Austrian armies, that's right, that defeated the Ottoman Empire. In fact, with the defeat of the Ottomans, there was the French love to take credit for this, but the croissant is actually from Austria, and the croissant, or crescent roll, as some people call it in America, was made to mock the Ottomans in the shape of the crescent moon after their defeat, and that's why the crescent roll is made.
Well, I didn't know that tidbit of history, but I'll tell you, I could eat a dozen of them right now. My God, they are good.
I got to tell you, they're not on my diet anymore. I haven't had a croissant in years. Because, you would think I could because they are so fluffy.
Oh, they're delicious.
But everything I eat is usually made with, like, here's one of my favorites that I eat. I eat my sandwiches with keto bread. It's very, actually, it's very tasty. I toast it.
I couldn't even have that.
It's almond flour, for goodness sake.
Yeah, it's not. It's the bread. The bread will ball up in my stomach. And
does that one do it? Did you check?
Yeah, all soft breads do that.
I would not call it soft.
Indeed.
Well, it's not toast.
Well, that's what I do is I toast it when I eat it, so it's crispy, and I eat chicken, turkey, and ham sandwiches with it. Trying to stay keto.
This is a great cooking show.
Dude, I'm planning with my buddy Dustin, also known as Keto Simple, to start doing segments every once in a while on keto cooking, because I lived in a house with a bunch of chefs, and they didn't know that I was a student chef once, and I love cooking. I cook a lot, and I love baking. and I make a New York style cheesecake, a keto one, that when you eat it, you cannot tell it's not regular, because it's just the only thing that's really not in it is the carbs. The crust is made with crushed almond. What just happened? Did I do that? I did that. Sorry, guys. I'm always nervous at clicking. But yeah, I love keto if done right. And that's what Dustin does too. He talks about how to cook keto and still have delicious food, because it's got to taste good. If it doesn't taste right, I don't want it. I don't want to suffer with this stuff.
I like keto. I think keto has made me very healthy. So if anybody asks me and say, why do you like keto? I say I lost 80 pounds because of keto. I feel much better because of keto. I don't feel lousy during the day. I mean, it's a good way to live. Keto is pretty good.
Absolutely. John Osage, by the way, I read his last message. I didn't say good morning to him. Good morning, John. John is our new talent manager. He's going to be managing all our guests. I'm trying to have a meeting with him, because we need to have a meeting before we move forward. But eventually I'm going to get a good conversation with him where he's going to take over doing all of that. Because right now still I'm the guy that calls the talent 90% of the time. Occasionally you save the day and Don saves the day. Lady V is here. Good morning. Keto is hit and miss. I got to tell you, there are times when I'm like, nah, not going to work. But there's a lot of things that are on the keto diet that I do enjoy. The one thing I refuse to give up, I love potatoes. So what I eat is I eat veggie tots every once in a while. I don't know if you guys have ever had those.
Yeah, veggie tots,
cauliflower. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the cauliflower when they're made into like pizza crust.
The zucchini one is really good too. And then I also like what do you call it? I use whole grain pasta every once in a while. That's not keto. And what was the other one I still keep in my diet? Oh, yams. I like to have a big baked sweet potato.
They're very healthy for you. Sweet potatoes are nothing like regular potatoes. They're
the carbs. There's still carbs in it, but they're slower to hit you. The thing is, you don't. The big thing is you don't spike, and you don't have the prolonged. Like rice is a killer.
Yeah,
rice is out of the diet. So I have cauliflower that's riced, as they call it, where it's broken up. I sometimes am okay with it. Sometimes it's like it just doesn't work for me. But I do like it when I add a what do you call it? The Chinese seasoning to it to make it into stir fry. That's it, stir fry mix. I get the stir fry mix and add that to my cauliflower, riced cauliflower, and I will have that with my chicken. And it's tricks your mind. I'm not giving up potatoes. Them's fighting words. No, I agree with you, lady.
I can have potatoes now.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, again, we want to celebrate how much have you lost? 80, 90?
80.
Good 80 for you.
80 since I started on this whole process. Overall, at my highest, I'm at over 180.
That's fantastic, dude. I'm proud of you.
Since
by the way,
2010 is when I was.
Yeah, I'm preparing for that.
The this race isn't brought to you by a Japanese guy. Monkey cheapest.
You are a racist. Oh, there goes my career on radio.
There's your career right there. I didn't say it out loud. I did not say it.
In 2 weeks,
this will probably be the last show I ever do.
On 2 weeks, I go full menu. So
outstanding.
I can have whatever.
Wow.
So I guess
first thing I'm having is steak.
Oh fuck yeah. Well, I've still got some steaks frozen in the thing for grilling. I got us some. I think they're Kansas Kansas City strips.
KC strips.
Yeah, KC strips.
You weren't allowed to eat steak on your diet?
Well, because of the surgery.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he has to gradually get back to how he eats, so it doesn't do damage to the surgery done on his stomach.
I may have started potatoes a few days early, but
this show brought to you by Fuel Up. That's yummy. So let's get this baby going. This episode this week of Skinwalker Ranch was interesting. They hired one of the teams out there that does a lot of those drone shows, where they have these pre-programmed drones that go up, and they can do all sorts of animation and cool shit. And so they had these things go up multiple times during the episode, and every single time they went up, they would have problems. Problems they've never had before. And again, this is the common theme on this show, that the minute they start using technology, hiring somebody to come in to run that technology, suddenly there are problems with that technology that have never happened before, especially to the extent that they began to happen. And they went over the triangle and the other part of the ranch where they were having issues in the air, that they kept getting readings of something in the air. Like last episode, they were getting thermal reading of something up there. And now the drone was acting like, and they are really hinting at it and moving towards the fact that they believe it's some sort of Stargate. It doesn't just work. Like, you can't hit it and just suddenly you're somewhere. You have to know how to operate it. But
Gary,
they're finding something there.
Gary, weren't they in a helicopter one time? I heard Travis
last episode. They began getting buffeted.
Right.
There was no wind
below them.
There was no wind. Oh, the first time they did this, on top of that, when they do the LiDAR and they do the side shot from all these different angles, it shows where they're at in the air. And it did it again with the drones this last week, where it shows the drones underground. They're under the ground, but they're in the air, but it shows them underground.
See, I don't know.
We are a bunch of monkeys playing with the monolith.
Yeah.
Is what this is.
But do you think, Gary, it might be actually a ship that's invisible? I mean, it could be
I
a
don't think
craft
so,
hovering
because the only thing that leads me to believe that there might be some, it might be solid, was when that one rocket got launched, and you watch all the rockets go up, and then that one goes up with them, suddenly goes right. Just goes up and then shoots to the right. It hits something in the air. There's, again, no wind that night. It's just bizarre, the shit that's going on at that place. And to me, to be honest, it's kind of horrifying, because the implications are terrifying to me.
I could tell you that the radiation levels that they've been talking about are much higher than normal. And Travis got radiation poisoning there. So
he
I mean,
burned on top of the poisoning. And he got sick again that one day when something happened. There were other people around him that suddenly he got lightheaded and nauseous. Now, agreed, some of the physical stuff, you can bring that on with anxiety. But it seems really strange that it just suddenly came on like that, and then they moved location, and he was fine.
Yeah. The other thing, too, that's amazing, that there's a post up that talked about portals. Well, the interesting thing is they had security there. Apparently, they hired like retired Navy SEALs and Special Forces guy, and there was two of them on patrol. And apparently a portal opened up in front of them, the way the story goes, and a voice came out and says, "You."
That was just so everybody knows. This didn't happen in the show. That happened during Bigelow's time.
Right.
It can't be proven, but you got to. It's like you either trust that guy or you don't, and that's one of those situations where you have to trust the veracity. He was there. He did work there for Bigelow, and he was a former Navy SEAL. But look, it's you got to trust him or not. And that's the problem with that story. When you get stories like that, and he also saw a shapeshifter.
Right.
You know, he saw one of the shapeshifters, which, you know, I've never given much credence to Skinwalker Ranch. Didn't care about it because I don't buy into a lot of that shit until they started saying this. And then I'm like going, oh, we're not dealing with shapeshifters at all. We're dealing with something else that might be doing that as a cover, you know, because, you know, they know how look, if they're intelligence, they know how our media works.
Of course. You know, the thing is, there's some sort of anomaly going on there. And one of the hypotheses that people were talking about, that they believe there might be a ship underground from thousands and thousands of years ago. There's some sort of extraterrestrial ship that got buried.
Here's my problem with that. If that's true, why did Bigelow sell it?
That's a good question. That
it makes no sense. What I believe is under that butte, that mesa, what I believe is under there is something Bigelow put there. I think he put it there, and because I cannot believe that he collapsed that cave system the way he did and then sold the ranch if there's something under there. I have trouble with that. It just doesn't make sense.
Then you're talking about something nefarious, like maybe there's a radiation dump there.
There's possibility of that. I'm telling you, something's going on there, and Bigelow is at the center of it. And I wouldn't be surprised that once they get under there, God, I hope they practice safety, man. That's all I know. Because you can't see or smell radiation. You just feel it. And sometimes you don't feel it until it's too late.
Well, that brings up an interesting police officer that worked for Bigelow at the time, actually was sent to the ranch, and he did not know why he was sent to the ranch, from what he tells me. And he was there for a few weeks. And then after, they brought him back out of the ranch, but then he had to go for tests. So he says, Chris, I felt like I was a guinea pig. All of a sudden I go to the ranch, I'm living there, and then I come out and they want me to take MRIs. They send me for test studies. And then he meets Kit Green, and Kit Green starts asking him questions. So
I just got to tell you, as a cop, you have to see what I'm talking about, because I have a cop's brain too. Mm-hmm. That I weed through things, and I'm weeding through what's not logical. And there's, imagine a guy kills somebody, buries a body, and then sells the property, right? Buries it out like right in the backyard. That's insanity. I'm sure some criminals have been that stupid, but Bigelow is not one of those motherfuckers.
Let me ask you this: do you think that maybe they didn't intend to make something nefarious, but something happened there humanly, like maybe a dump went bad or something, and this radiation that they're having is attracting?
But he's going to be in for criminal charges for selling that property knowingly, having a dump there. He will be charged
if they can prove it.
It's kind of hard not to be able to prove it, because he owned it that long. And
there is one possibility.
What's that?
What if what's under the mesa scared him so bad that he collapsed the cave and sold it because he didn't want anything to do with it?
I don't buy that. Again, he wouldn't want it out in the open. He wouldn't want it known. So the last thing you're going to do is sell it to a guy who's going to do a fucking show. It's either that or right now he's like, oh, man, you promised me you wouldn't do a show.
Well, I don't think we have to worry because the U.S. government just said they have no proof of any extraterrestrials.
Maybe he wanted it to be known, but not him being the one who gets it known.
Now, who was it that said that, by the way, Chris?
Head of Arrow, Sean Fitzpatrick, went in front of the senators there, Gildebrand. I watched it, and they were talking about, they studied so many of these anomalies, and they need to have more scientific data so they can study it more. And then he comes out and says, but during our whole studies, we found absolutely no proof of anything being extraterrestrial.
Well, no, they can't prove it unless they've had contact with them. And if they've had contact with them, they don't want that probably known.
Yeah, but Gary, they have radar data and everything else that you may not say that there's no proof, but they can suggest or say we have a.
Well, yeah, we know there's something there. The Air Force will probably never admit it, nor Space Force, because they're part of the Air Force. But the Navy has already stepped up, and the Department of Defense itself has stated that, look, something's happening, and these are not ours, and we don't believe that they're anybody else's on the planet that we know, countries that we know.
And that's why it was so strange for this guy to come right out and say something like that right in front of the Senate hearing.
It's always going to be about disinformation. That's my problem with the government. That plausible deniability crap. You know, it's like deny. Even, it's sort of like the cheating husband. That's not me.
Yeah, but why, Gary?
Photo, fucking
two-thirds of people believe in extraterrestrials. Why are they so denying it so much?
Because of the fact that with that disinformation, they create confusion and doubt. And I fucking hate government, man. Like questions. You call it comforting, Lady V? Holy crap, some of that shit scares the hell out of me. Those drones in this episode, man, those drones were going ape shit. What was freaky is one point when they go to launch, one just suddenly by itself goes, "Hey, I'm going up before everybody else." And they're like looking like, why is it doing that? That's never happened before. This is a company that's done thousands upon thousands of flights, never had that happen before. And then suddenly the rest of them launch and catches up to it. And then all of a sudden drones start popping out. And you start seeing holes in their mesh. And it's like, what is going on? And then at one part, they start drooping like a net. It's on our thumbnail for the show. That image freaked me out. I'm like, what is going on that's causing all this shit?
You think maybe an electromagnetic anomaly of some sort?
Clearly, it has to be. But why is it happening like that? Why is there a specifically located magnetic anomaly happening above ground like that? And I'm telling you, man, that place freaks me out.
I will tell you this, that my friend is investigating a case of some. Now there's no witness says that there's no craft in the air, nothing. But sees this bird automatically gets sucked up into the air. It's flying along. It's doing.
Where was this?
Boom. Up in near in the New England states. They're working on it right now. So this bird is flying, and then it goes totally sucked up in the air, disappears. And they had the same thing happen to a coyote. Get sucked up right from the ground. Boom. Eyewitnesses see this thing, but there's nothing in the air that they could see a craft. They don't see any nuts or bolts or anything. So I'm equating what you're saying about Skinwalker and saying, wow, maybe there's some, like you said, a portal or a craft or something that can actually do this type of stuff, or go the opposite.
Well, it could be a geomagnetic anomaly akin to like a Lagrange point is to gravity, where it's just this fixed point of like an eddy in the electromagnetic field.
Yeah, but how does it suck up a bird or coyote?
Well, I'm talking about the Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
Well, I want to point out something too, that when you're dealing with certain forms of radiation as well as magnetics, you can actually have an impact on the mind when you use it. And this is one of the things that I've said to Don, my understanding of science. is that you can make people see shit.
So it can cause hallucinations.
Yeah, you can absolutely cause hallucinations using electromagnetic fields. You can cause auditory and visual hallucinations. So I also question the dogmen. You know, are you actually seeing what you think you're seeing? And could these things, because I'm not saying they're aliens, they could be extra dimensional, as we talked about before. You know, that these things are using these energy fields to create these things, to make you think you're seeing things. It's sort of like the three-toed Bigfoot that we keep hearing about, you know. I know MUFON does not want to talk about that, so I don't want to get you in trouble.
You're not going to get me in trouble.
Okay.
You can talk about it all you want, bro.
Because the three-toed Bigfoot, Sasquatch, is not really a Sasquatch. These things aren't, you know, Sasquatch. This is an ancient creature, an offshoot of evolution. If evolution happened the way, you know, they say it happened.
Greater North American ground ape.
Yeah. You know, skunk ape. But the fact is, you know, these three-toed ones, I believe they're like their suits, you know, but they're not physical suits. Because some of the description I've read on some of these things is this might be a field around them that you're seeing this, because that's what they want you to see. But that's not what they are. This is something else. There's been allusions to robots, to aliens, to all that. I don't know, man.
I think that's a good theory, though. I could tell you that you know, there's so much high strangeness that's going on all over the world that you got to cut between the wheat and the chaff and try to get what the truth is. But I could tell you brought up something that I thought interesting. Suppose the U.S. government's doing mind control or brainwave experiments there.
You know, look, I believe what's under the ground there that they sampled, because the components of this material they found are the exact same components used in our heat shields for reentry. That's not a coincidental thing to have happen. That doesn't occur. It doesn't occur in nature. You have to combine those items. You don't just like dig and suddenly find all of those elements together.
No.
It doesn't occur that way. You know, so yeah, we got Momo here. I'm sorry, John just mentioned Momo.
Yeah.
That is a guy. I really like the guy who does those little documentary films. He had the one on Momo. Really nice guy. I'll never have him on our show again, because he is just as sweet a guy as he is and as entertaining as he is. He's one of those people that you go, you like, when you started this process of making the films, and you just ask this really detailed question, and then the response is, yeah, pretty much. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this is going to be one of those interviews.
Yeah.
Sweet guy, man, but he is like really bashful, really quiet, very soft-spoken. And I'm like, oh, you're a terrible guest. You are a terrible guest. All it's going to be is me commending you for all your work and you going, thank you. For like 2 hours. It just was awful.
That's where you got to turn around and say, you got to go a little deeper.
And it was fun. They, what was this? Wait a minute. Let me go back. Guilty Pleasure. I like Oak Island. I love that show too, but I stopped watching it. I watched the final episode of the season because I was investing way too much time in this stuff for micro finds. I'll wait till the final episode of the season and also the episode where they talk about what they found, the other show they do. And I gave up watching the regular shows. Just too much time. They just need cuddles. Oh, yeah. Don't let them fool you. They're like Don. Don needs cuddles. That's why he's got Bailey and Vicky. Vicky first, then Bailey. Giant wolves and dogmen probably could use some cuddles. And, of course, Lady V says, gladly. Let's see. Monkey Jeeva says, there's reports of the Missouri backdoor. Go fuck yourself, dude.
Backdoor foot? What?
He's in a mood today.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand that one.
Backdoor foot. But let's see. Some really smart and nice people do shit radio. But look, man, you can alter people's brainwaves using magnetism. Certain forms of microwaves can cause things. There are lots of things you can do. Like, what is it? I forget what is the sound wave that'll make you poop your pants? What is that one called?
What?
Is it a microwave or a
No, it's a radio wave that you can emit at a certain level. I was hoping John knew this one because it's commonly known in nerddom as the radio frequency that'll make a person shit themselves, or sound frequency that makes somebody shit themselves.
I know that they have weapons that can actually start your skin
cause
boil.
nausea, cause all sorts of shit. And sound does this. And we have barely scratched the surface of what sound does, because I love those experiments that are done with sound where they have a flat surface and they put grainy material, glass, sand, and they begin bombarding this surface with sound and the patterns you get. And they've talked about this on what is that show, Ancient Aliens, that some of these patterns are patterns that we now find in ancient art.
Yeah.
How did they know about these patterns?
The other thing that amazes me is that you're right, Gary, about sound. Sound can actually suspend objects in the air. They've taken water.
Absolutely. You can levitate with
and
sound.
levitate stuff.
Magnetism does it too.
Yep.
See, we know that there are fields that are created that can cause something to defy gravity. And it's really bizarre.
That's why there's maglev trains.
Yep. I mean, I knew about that shit when we were in school. We had that little hovering man with two opposite, with negative to negative magnet or positive to positive, and he just levitate and rotate.
Now, do we have those trains here in the United States? Because I have never seen one.
Yeah.
I know they're in Europe, right?
Yeah, we do. The magnetic rail. What is this? What is this? Let me. Someone research the poopancy.
You can buy like statues and clocks and stuff that have something suspended between two magnetic fields.
All right, Cam gets a backdoor video. Let me go to the main thing here. I'm sure we're doing good. Let me play a backdoor video real quick for Cam. Where is a good video for Cam? Classic.
Open your back door, baby. Loosen your hinges, I'll show you my key.
So I'm going to say this again, that Don and I agree for the most part, but he calls bullshit on the show. He thinks that they're doing your typical reality TV thing. And I reminded him that Travis Taylor only agreed to sign on if they didn't do that. They weren't allowed to edit that way. Everything had to be edited linearly. They could not add sound effects or visual effects. No CG. All CG had to appear on screen as being something dealing with what their research, not even a recreation.
Yeah, Gary, and I don't think Travis Taylor would. I mean, with his reputation and everything he's done, I don't think he's going to go into.
He would not be a part of that. I don't believe it for a second. I know that Don's pissed, because I get pissed about that too. When you reach out to somebody and they don't have the decency to even just tell you no,
right?
That just irritates the shit out of me. And it bugs me that Travis did that. But then I said, "Look, Don, there are people in the UFO community that are scared to fucking death of you."
Well, Don asks the hard questions. I mean, he's one of those guys.
Absolutely. He takes his bullshit meter and takes it into that world. And a lot of these people won't come onto the show because they've heard something about Don. And I told Don, I said, that's why, I think I want to reach out to Travis Taylor, and I've tried already, but I don't know if he's even gotten my messages. But I'm going to try to go through a mutual friend of ours, John Brandenburg, to try to get a hold of him, because if I'm known to be, I'm a dick. It's a fact. It's a known fact.
Yeah, but you're a nice dick.
Yeah.
That's what my girlfriend says. Don't you breathe me?
Yeah, my radio.
Look, it's even in the thing. Look, it says it there. Read what it says under my name.
Professional
pro dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what
my
I
radio
do.
career is done.
He's pro dick.
Oh,
I am very pro dick. But I got to tell you, look, we're a small show. I don't know why Don even does the show with me, but he does, because we like each other. I love hanging out with him, and I think the show is getting bigger thanks to KGRA. We've got thousands of listeners right now in KGRA. And I hope they're enjoying the show and this discussion. But I got to tell you, I feel like a novice. I've been reading about this stuff since I was a little kid, since the 70s. 1974 is the first time I read Chariots of the Gods. And it had an impact on me. When I read Bud Hopkins' books, I'm like, that changed my life. But I've never had an experience, not that I'm aware of. And I never got to. I told you I wanted to join MUFON back in the 90s here in Missouri. Mm-hmm. And the dude that ran it here was a dick. And it just pissed me off. And I'm like, why are you talking to me like I'm an idiot?
Well, I could tell you that I was a skeptic when I started. I didn't believe in any of it.
I absolutely do, but I don't know what it is. And that's what I want to know is, what is this? Because even if 50% of the people are full of shit, 50% of them are telling the absolute truth. Mm-hmm. There's no way 100% of them are lying.
Well, see, Gary, that's the problem, is that we don't have a way, unless you have people like Don, we don't have a way to cut between the wheat and the chaff and say, this is full of crap and this is more scientific and needs to be, explored even further. Because people come up with some stories that are just way, way, way out there. I mean, some of these things you kind of go, wait a minute, time out. And you got absolutely no proof. One guy says, yeah, I was a Marine soldier on Mars and Jupiter, and I was fighting all these people. I go, okay, tell me the nomenclature of your weapon. And he doesn't even know what the word nomenclature is. Right? Yeah. So I'm like, wait a minute, that, if you're a super soldier and you claim to have done all this defensive tactics and everything to go after aliens, you should know what I'm saying by the nomenclature of a weapon. You should know how the aiming mechanism works. You you ask these questions and they look at you like a deer in headlights. So that's why I'm saying some of these stories, are absolutely true. And then some of them, you got to just throw in the trash can and say, dude, you're just out to get some money. You're trying to make a name for yourself to have people listen to you in your cult state or whatever.
Trying to get views, clicks, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, ufology, and this is the sad thing. Ufology is now becoming a business. Ufology is starting to be a moneymaker because, ever since the government turned around and said, hey, look at these things flying in the sky, you got all these stories coming out and you got all this stuff coming out, that you kind of go, wait a minute, why didn't you come out with this story 3 years ago? And you're coming out with this crap now that, that just doesn't make sense.
Right. By the way, nomenclature, it's one word, Lady V, and it's the system by which things are named. It's how you give a name to something. That's how I know that word.
Yeah.
The word, it's in Germanic, Namen means name. nomenclature being the organization of, isn't that what clature means?
Yeah, you're right on the money.
System by organization, and then name, and so that's what it is. It's the system by which you name things. That's the Webster's Collegiate Dictionary definition, as I recall. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, but as I recall.
It's time to hear that Pennant guy again talking about surviving the break.
Oh, Lord, is it that time again?
Yep.
Holy cow.
Hey, guys, we'll be right back after this short commercial break, and we're going to be talking some more about this nerdy crap. Hi, guys, this is Gary from Pop Culture Minefield here on KGRA, and we're leaving for our first break. I hope we survive.
Did you know 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated? If you struggle with focus, run low on energy, or when it's time to finally sleep, you simply can't, this can all be linked to dehydration, and Fuel Up has the answer. Our proprietary formula contains the finest cellular hydration with the strongest immune-enhancing natural ingredients. The Fuel Up system is made up of 3 different incredibly tasting varieties. Wake kickstarts your day with a jolt of caffeine. Play boosts focus while hydrating your cells. Rest not only helps you relax, but also rejuvenates your cells while you sleep. Here's what our clients have to say.
I really don't miss my coffee, and you can tell the difference.
So I'm going to take it for the energy. I'm going to take it for the play. I'm going to take it, all day.
And it works. That's the thing. It works. We love it.
Take the Fuel Up Challenge now, where we offer a Feel the Difference money-back guarantee. Fuel Up for life.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Oh, wow, we survived. Welcome back to the commercial break. Now for some more Pop Culture Minefield on KGRA.
Okay.
Und we are back to the show, yeah. Once again, this show is brought to you by Fuel Up. And what they talked about is something that I learned in the process in the medical field, that 70% of people around the world in third world countries, because I'm sure it's worse there, but in Western civilization, 7% of people walk around unaware that they're dehydrated. And they think they're hungry. And that's the problem. It's your body is craving the water, and our brain, we misread it, and we think we're hungry. So you overeat. This is one of the ways you start gaining weight, is you're eating because you think you're hungry, but actually what you are is thirsty. And so I constantly sit around with a tall glass of water. The minute this thing gets down to about here, I fill it back up again. And I drink about 4 or 5 of those a day. And it keeps me completely hydrated. And that's how I've been losing weight, staying hydrated. Backdoor Fund, Real Wade Nation gets their backdoor video. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Good morning, Wade. How you doing, buddy? I'm going to switch to the main studio here. All right, get back to some of these videos, and boom.
Front door team and back door team.
There we go. So all the things that are going on, I'm going to share my screen real quick, because this is one of those moments I was talking about on this show, where I'm serious, dude. This is crazy. See the holes?
Yeah.
Every single time they launch, this would happen. And this has never happened to them before. Like this. Never. And it just kept happening.
I have a theory.
I'm sure you do, Martin.
They're cheap Chinese drones and they're beginning to fail.
You can see the pattern here. Again, there's a pattern. And it's just really bizarre what's going on with these things. And it's freaking everybody out that's on there. They fire rockets up there trying to get reads again, and just sky elements. drone. That's the company. These guys are pros. Thousands of flights, and suddenly on this ranch, nothing's working right.
Jerry, how many drones did they have up there?
A lot. I didn't count them.
But here's the amazing thing. So if those drones are up there, you might say maybe 1 or 2 or 3 might have
120 to 200. My guess.
Okay, so you might have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 might give false readings or something. But if all those drones are showing some kind of magnetic anomaly or something, all those other drones, you can't dispute that evidence. That's pretty critical.
Yeah, and the LiDAR keeps showing shit like up in the air. You can see it here and here. And they keep getting these weird patterns. It's freaky shit that's going on in this ranch. Stuff is there that shouldn't be there. There shouldn't be something there. Air current where there is no air current when they got the turbulence. Where's the turbulence coming from? It's not showing up. There's no wind.
See, that makes me believe that your theory and the same theory as mine, there's something in that sky hovering. Maybe a Stargate, maybe a craft. There is something there that's, causing this above them. Because
this is one of the objects they found, and they believe this is an object.
Is that the one that keeps showing up when they shoot up rockets?
It's one of them, yeah. And they have figured out that this is a ball-shaped object with a trench-like circle around it, like the Death Star. And it's just really bizarre.
Now that object...
There's the shot of the object, what they believe that they're seeing here.
Now that object you're talking about, let me... Just give me a second here. Because that object showed up in the back of somebody's home in the Hudson Valley. It was a homicide detective. And he actually took pictures of it and sent it to me. And I might be able to show you a picture, a good picture of it. And there it is.
All right, let me
see if you can. I'll put that right into the camera there.
Oh shit! Let me engorge you.
Oh my!
So
that's the same shape.
Yes, that was seen by a person who's now become my friend. A homicide detective came home one night after work. He goes to his back porch. He gets a drink in his hand. He says, what a tough day at work. And all of a sudden, he sees this blue glowing object starting to come slowly down to his backyard. And then above his backyard is a large backyard. It's hovering. And some people said, well, it's ball lightning. This was a controlled mechanism. But if you'll look at that photo, if you could put it up again for your listeners, you see the split in the middle? Yeah, just exactly like you showed.
Yeah, it's like the Death Star. It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
Of course, obviously smaller, but it's got that same look with the ball with a trench going around the center.
It's obviously somebody's surveillance drone of some kind.
Yeah, of some kind. Now, this is that image that they built in the 3D environment based off of the LiDAR and everything. There is something shooting up from the ground. Like, what the hell is this shit? It's so freaky.
Yeah, I couldn't even start to explain that one.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. The one launched by itself. This one lone little drone goes, "Hey guys, I'm going to go ahead on up. I'm not going to obey your commands anymore. I'm going early." And then the other drones are like, "Oh, we'll catch up with you." And then they launch, and eventually they do catch up with it, and then immediately they start popping out. Immediately. Again, like I said, the editing in this show is done linearly. They're not allowed to do your typical reality shit where they do a reaction to something that took place elsewhere at a different time or footage that took place. It has to be edited in order. And that was the contract that Travis signed.
Gary, do you know if any of the drones fell out of the sky?
They didn't say that, but I was wondering that when you see them go off like this, are they still up there? Because they weren't saying if they were still up there. They were just not functioning anymore, with the lights and stuff, answering to command. It's just such a bizarre situation. See the pattern there?
Yeah.
It's really weird. The one that got me was when it dipped. And I'm hoping to find that moment here. And there's one of the UAPs right there. See it? It's moving in the sky. That's some freaky shit. This whole show freaks me out. It really does. But I'm not sure if I'm going to find it. I'm looking for it. What is this? This is what I was talking about. That this is the scan. This isn't live, and they're showing where the LiDAR and everything shows where these objects are, and they keep showing parts of these drones were underground.
It's not LiDAR, it's the GPS data from the drones.
GPS data, that's right. GPS.
How could they, Gary, that doesn't make any sense. How could they show data that these drones were underground?
I don't know. It's something's off. And it's whatever's in the air, I think, is throwing everything off.
Something's interfering with the GPS data.
Yep. And everybody's freaked out on this show. It's fun to watch them. But here again, see, here's the plane right here. That's the horizon. And this shit's below ground.
That doesn't make any sense. It absolutely makes no sense.
Nothing about this place makes any sense.
No.
And Don and I were talking last time. I said, I don't care if I was invited. I would not go to this place. There's something wrong with it.
I would.
And I agree with you, because they say that sometimes things attach themselves to you from that ranch.
Now, this is from the LiDAR. This is from the LiDAR. And it's just showing just all kinds of weird shit. There's something under that mesa. They know there is. And that's it. They've come to the point where we need to go into the mesa, is what they've decided by the end of this episode. There's something under there. We got to find out what it is. And it keeps going back.
Look who's here. E-Hacker.
My buddy. Oh, man. John, good to see you, dude. I love this guy. I've known him for a long time, man. Been watching his show. If you do not watch E-Hacker, you are missing some of the best analysis. His coverage of the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing, some of the best you could see. And I'm glad I introduced him to Colonel Kurtz, who I watch her stuff too. Really good coverage and analysis. And it's not just E-Hacker talks about all this stuff. Great show, great channel. And also, if you befriend him, some of the best photos of his kids on his Twitter account. They're so adorable. He lives in Japan. Man, just I love his life. He'll just post pictures of walking around Japan.
What's he do in Japan, Gary?
I try not to ask people what they do, because especially if they work overseas, because it may be too personal what they do, so I just never ask. I just assume it's something interesting.
All right, you gotta like. Well, we'll save that subject for another day and time.
Yeah, but E-Hacker's the dude, man. If you're not following him, follow him on YouTube. Follow him on Twitter. I love the guy. He's in my. I posted one of those circle things. Who's in your circle? He's in my circle. And
I'm not.
Yeah, you're too quiet. I have no idea why you're not in there. It's weird. My girlfriend's on the outer circle.
Oh, okay.
You need to rework your priorities.
You rework your priorities. Anyway, if you guys are not watching Skinwalker Ranch, you need to be watching this show. It freaks me out. Every episode freaks me out a little bit.
Well, one of the things that I think that they're going in the right direction is, and it's not like reality, is that Travis Taylor would never subject himself to ionized radiation. So, I mean, because that's bad stuff. And to get radiated and then have burns on top of it and everything. I don't care how much money you're paying. You're not going to do that. You know what I mean? So that's what makes me believe that thing is credible by what they're saying.
Absolutely. And look, I absolutely support this show. I think that I support this show and Ancient Aliens. They're two of the shows that I watch religiously. It means I don't miss episodes when I say that. But
Georgia the Tukas with the hair.
I'm not saying it's aliens.
It's aliens, but it's aliens.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
that
guy.
And I just enjoy the crap out of that show. And that they're onto something with the show because look, man, I grew up on that shit. My dad was reading it to me before I could read, and when I started reading, I was reading those books.
Hey, the chief is in the house.
Yep. So Skinwalker Ranch.
Hey, Pat, how you doing, Chief? By the way, a lot of you guys know who Robot Head is. Probably one of the top nerd shows on YouTube. We talk all the time, and he's going to try, because he's in Australia, man. He's on the other side of the planet, and we're going to try to schedule a way to get him on the show. I don't know if it'll be our Wednesday shows or if it'll be Friday or Saturday, but he's agreed. He wants to come on the show.
That's awesome.
He likes what I have to say. And he gets tickled by but I love that dude, man. He is so freaking funny. His takedowns of modern Star Wars is some of the best videos you'll ever watch, ever. I shit you not.
Are you watching this?
Yeah, Skinwalker Rank in live chat now. Who is this? Is this Skinwalker Ranch? Somebody with the show?
No, it's probably Jeebus.
I don't know. I don't trust chat anymore. I've learned not to fall for chat.
We did get a $5.
Well, let's ask them who they are.
I just did. Absolutely. Skinwalker Ranch. Who are you? Rick Roberts with a $5 super chat. Please get Ryan Skinner on the video. He brought up a good point. The blob, maybe residual. I think you meant residual smoke from previous rocket launch. I don't know because it was shot at different times. Oh, yeah. I have not watched Blob yet. I haven't watched it. I'm going to watch it after the show today, for next week.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He says
Rick.
it's Ryan Skinner.
That's Ryan Skinner. Ryan Skinner, sir. If that is you, please. I'm going to put the invitation for the after show. F it. I will send
after show. Let's get him on now.
Said, Jesus Christ, Chris.
You're just so demanding, Chris.
I know. I was
just already doing it.
Topic that comes out on me.
If you want to join us now, feel free to, man. Jump in here, because I absolutely trust this show and everybody they got on it. The guests that come on, the experts. I believe that they are putting 100% pure effort into figuring this shit out, that this isn't about drama or selling the show. I think the show sells itself because it's fucking freaky.
Yeah. I like I said, I have a lot of respect for Travis Taylor. I mean, the guy is a no nonsense, believes in science type of guy, and he follows the science, which is what
absolutely. And everybody that knows me knows that he's. I don't use the word hero very often, but when it comes to science, he's absolutely one of my biggest heroes. I love him because he's a country boy that went into science and Southerner, And I'm a Southerner, and I love sciences. I love medicine in particular. I worked in the medical field for almost 2 decades.
You should try to get Gary Nolan on the show then. Gary Nolan is absolutely amazing. He's another Travis Taylor. He follows the science. And that's what you need in ufology. You don't need people that say, well, it could be this and it could be that. You need science. You need to score everything and say, this is what the stuff we should be looking at because there's scientific data with it. And then analyze that data, publish it, peer review it, and then you can honestly say this is what we think it is, kind of a deal. But like I said, ufology has become a business now. People are writing books.
And so you've got to be even more skeptical today. By the way, I want to give my thank you video for the $5 super chat to Rick Roberts. Rick, I think I'm going to give you this new video. Brought up, I made this one. Well, I didn't make it, but I clipped it for Don. Don's not here, damn it.
Dave. And Matthew, what is it now? For God's sake, no one's smoking, okay? But nothing! You know what we need around here is an anti-whining ordinance. So just sip your sniveling little lip and all your skinny ass.
Classic. So thank you very much for the super chat. And I just sent the invite out a couple times. I'm hoping, man, he joins us, man. If that's him, I'd love to have him on, man. There's so many questions I have about this show, what they're doing. And that's why I want to get Travis on here in particular, because I want to know. Absolutely, it is him. That is so amazing, dude. Thanks for dropping in. Please join us on the show. If not this week, if you can't join today, please do join us in the future. Contact me privately. Here you go. This is my personal email. I don't mind sharing it because it's on my art, because I'm a professional artist. And so if you want to contact me for commissions, my email's available. So it's my name at yahoo.com. And there it is, Ryan, right there in the chat. I just posted it. Feel free to contact me directly. And I want to get more. I would love to get in touch with people behind this show and on this show, because this show and Ancient Aliens are probably two of the best ufologist shows on in the history of television.
Oh, I think it needs to be addressed. These shows actually do the right thing. They study it, they analyze it, they take data and they try to figure out from the data. And they're coming up with amazing things. Both shows do that. And that's why I think it's important for these people to be brought into podcasts like this and stuff. So, I mean, Gary Nolan is fantastic. Travis Taylor is fantastic. You get these scientists to get on here and tell us what the real deal is. And that will make ufology become a more serious science than what it is now. Well,
this is one of the things that we have to be thankful for with the Navy releasing that even though I don't think they did it intentionally, they owned up to it, that these videos, the Tic Tac video and all that shit, there's something there. Not to mention all the videos we've gotten from the regional departments of defense in South America, Brazil.
Yeah.
Look, these are faked videos. This is some weird shit going on in our air. People have been seeing this throughout history, and it's been ridiculous how our country or government has been treating it, and the media has been treating it. And now they kind of got to shut up.
Well, the thing of the matter is that one thing that bothers me, and we talked about this before, Jerry, that the U.S. Air Force has been absolutely silent on this. They're
never going to talk. This is something, Don, I said, yeah, look, I said this, one of the first episodes I ever talked about. I said, the U.S. Air Force is never going to confess anything. You are never going to get disclosure from the Air Force, ever. It's never going to happen. They're covering up too much information that would do damage if they opened up those case files and admitted to everything.
Built into their mandate when they were created.
It is. Yeah. And Space Force is run by the Air Force. So like we see those Tic Tac videos, the first thing Space Force says, we know nothing about any of that. We're not created for that. It's like, of course they said that. Air Force is, it's basically, and the Air Force, great personnel in there. Yeah, I poke fun at the Air Force all the time. In the military, we called them civilians in uniform because mustaches out to here, hair over their ears, in uniform. Just
now, I just saw what they posted there with the underground cavern, and that's the biggest thing that needs to be done. And it could be very dangerous, but man, you got to send either a drone, a robot, or something into that.
Well, they need a robot down there before anything to test for radiation. But here's the thing, Ryan. I don't know if you heard what I said earlier. I'll reiterate what I said. My problem with the whole thing is if there is something under there, I'm concerned with what it is, because I don't think it's alien, because clearly Bigelow collapsed that cave system. He knows what's down there. And if it was something that's not man-made, he would have never sold that property. That makes no sense, because he works closely and is in bed with the Department of Defense. So why would he sell that property? I think that it's something else, and it's still something scary. It could be a dump site, because look, you cannot dig and find those materials that they discovered when they did the drilling in one place. That's impossible. It's not improbable. It's impossible to have all of those elements in one spot. The same material used to make heat shields for reentry. That just doesn't happen. Not in nature, ever.
Now, Gary, isn't it true that I've heard this, and I think it's accurate, that they did a lot of atomic testing not that far away from there, that they let off atomic bombs, and they were thinking, well, did the radiation flow over? And Travis Taylor says no to that, because they can tell by the radiation, how they read it, what kind of radiation it is. But if they were working on atomic stuff and they had to bury it, contaminated material, what perfect place to put it in a cavern?
I'm sorry, Rick just said maybe Hoffa's body is down there.
Well, it'd be a good place to put them, I can tell you that.
Look, Travis, just like John Brandenburg, we don't need a rocket scientist for our show, but we have one. John Brandenburg, probably one of the best known, outside of Travis, one of the best known rocket scientists out there. He's a regular on our show. I want to get Travis on here because they're friends, and he's trying to set it up. But that's what I'm saying. The material found under the mesa, that's man-made material. It's terrestrial. Those are minerals found on Earth. The problem is, in combination, you don't find that in nature, period, ever. They're combined. This material is found in one spot on those drill bits, and that's impossible. So what the fuck is under there? I don't believe it's alien. I don't believe for a second it's alien or extra-dimensional. I think it's man-made. I think it's a dump site. And I think that he collapsed that system for a reason. And it may be part of what he did underground there that has led to some of this radiation shit, that he's opened something. I don't know. Bigelow's a fucking asshole.
Good thing I don't own Skinwalker Ranch, because I would already called Elon Musk and brought the boring company in and just drill straight through the mesa.
I think there's something buried there.
Yeah, I've heard about that too, Ryan. I've heard about that too. I'm telling you, here's the thing. I'm going to go back to this. Whatever is going on in the air and whatever is happening above the ranch, that shit's real. I don't know what the hell that is. But again, I talked about how different forms of radiation, different forms of radio waves, different forms of magnetism have an impact on the human brain. And So all the things that have been reported seen here could be explained away to that shit. But what's happening in the air, that's something completely different. I had zero interest in Skinwalker Ranch until we started getting reports of shit in the air. Because I just found all of that to be explainable by what I said. Magnetism and different kinds of waves and radiation. People seeing things, they have an impact on the brain. You can have auditory and visual hallucinations from different kinds of things that impact your brain.
Well, also, too, how is the best way to try to keep people away? In the beginning, they kept people away by what? Putting out maybe possible folklore. Let's say the theory is right, that something nefarious is down there, radioactivity material, biological weapons, whatever. They dug it right into that cavern. Now, how do you keep people away? You can create some kind of folklore to scare people away.
That's one thing. Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I was unaware of the lake. Do you know anything about this, Chris?
A man-made reservoir made by the U.S. military.
The Army Corps of Engineers are always doing that shit. I mean, as a kid, I dealt with them because one of the towns I lived in as a kid had a dam in a man-made lake, and the dam collapsed and spilled and flooded the area, and the Army Corps of Engineers went in and fixed it, and the current spillway dam that's there now is the one that the Army Corps of Engineers built. It's amazing.
Well,
exactly. This is what I've been saying, and this is what Chris is onto something too with me. I think that there are two things going on here, and I believe that all the folklore is stuff that was created. Now, I'm not saying it's man-created, but it was created. That whatever is going on, if this is interdimensional or extraterrestrial, the shit going on in the air, they've been hiding it and using this shit to hide it. But it doesn't mean the place isn't dangerous, and that's why I would never go there. You couldn't pay me enough to go there. Radiation poisoning, serious shit.
It is, and I want to know. I want to ask a question. Has anybody tested the water from that man-made reservoir?
That is something that I'm going to bet Ryan probably knows the answer to.
He probably does, and that's what I want to know is taking water samples from there, going down and getting ground samples underneath that water to analyze that.
And that's interesting. Now, the problem I have with this is, of course, some of the folklore goes back hundreds of years. So, I mean, this place has always had that, but, is that folklore? And then they use this stuff to play on the folklore? That's the question. But again, I'm going to tell you, with that, I don't buy into it. I don't believe it's tangible or real. These animals, the skinwalkers, I don't believe any of that. But when it comes to what's going on in the air over that ranch, absolutely. And something's going on under it.
Well, that's because there's scientific data that can prove exactly what you're saying. It's not a just a theory. You got data that actually can show that, Gary. So you're right on the money with that.
So, and I'm not even a UFO expert. I'm still a novice student, even though I've been reading about this shit for almost 50 years. It's just I never became like you and like Don. I never became initiated. And I just I'm that guy that hid in his room reading stuff. I like to sit down and read.
But that's what we all do, Gary. So anybody who tells you they're a UFO expert, run away, because they're full of crap. Because if you're an expert, you would have answers, and nobody has answers. All we have are theories, hypotheses, and scientific data. So I'm not considered an expert. I've been studying this stuff for years. I've investigated cases all over the place. I've seen unbelievable phenomenons. But I will tell you this, I am not an expert because I don't have answers. I can't do that. So that's why I say to you, you need more scientific people into this field.
Okay, that's interesting right there, that it's highly toxic around the ranch. This is something I don't think that they've talked about on the show. And
No.
I think that's an important bit of information that should be known.
And I want to know what it's toxic of. If it's highly toxic, what is it?
There you go. Good question. Were they mining uranium? That lady, poor mutated animals. Those damned dog soldiers. Let's see. I agree with the expert comment. None of us have all the answers. Anyone who claims such, run away from. Yeah. I'll tell you, there's that one dude, man. Like, my bullshit radar went off. Well known. He kind of runs a UFO cult, and they've had him on. Sean, former Navy SEAL, has his own YouTube channel. Had him on. And I thought he was Bob Lazar at first. I was like, oh, is that Bob Lazar? And I started watching it. It's the guy that's all muscular. He got buff and shit, and he's weird. And he starts just talking about this crazy shit. It's like, never heard of any of it. And I'm like, look, man, this is a tight-knit community, people into ufology. You're talking about shit that's fringe. You're making it up. He's fucking lying. And I knew he was lying the minute I heard what he was saying. I'm like, you're full of shit. And then I asked Don about him, and he goes, that guy's full of shit. He's one of those lying sons of bitches.
Well, and that's and I go back to what I said. That's the evil part about ufology, is that people will line up and buy $70 tickets to listen to a guy who's got the craziest stories going with no proof.
Yeah, I always had problems with that one guy that talked about that battle that took place underground, because clearly somebody else would know this, and he would know who they are.
Where are the widows? Where are the wives?
Nobody came forward. Nobody
Right.
knows anybody that was involved with this. It's just immediately the alarms go off in my head. Bullshit.
Yeah,
Skinwalker came to light because it's mute cases. The cattle mutes have always been associated with biological and other environmental concerns. That's interesting. Are they the canaries in the coal mine?
Well, the cattle mutilations are starting again. They had a bunch in Texas, and they just had one in Colorado.
I like the way you say Colorado.
Colorado. Just like I say NASA.
Yeah.
Everybody goes, what did you say? I said NASA.
You're such a New Yorker.
I am such a New Yorker, man.
I will be exploring many of these questions here in a week as a cast member of the nearby Blind Frog Ranch. I appreciate your suggestion of testing the water at Bottle Hollow. Absolutely. You need to know what's going on, because look, it's all connected.
Hey, let me know. I want to go with you when you test that water, because I'll tell you something right now. We have a problem at a place called Tuxedo Park Lake, where an object was dumped in the water there, and there's weird things happening at that lake. I'd like to test, and we tested the water, and we found out.
Yeah, but he tests it differently. He'll probably use, strips and stuff like that. You're just doing this shit, scooping it up and going.
No, I sent it to a lab. I sent it to a lab, bro. I don't do that crap. I don't get paid enough to do that shit.
Hey, do you think it's poisonous? I'll know in about an hour or two. I got the shit's really bad. I think it's bad water. Ryan, dude, I'd really love to have you on the show, man. I'd love to talk about Frog Ranch, man. That's a show that we don't talk about that I would like to talk about sometime. Have you on the show. I'm fascinated with this stuff because there's two things going on. It's what's going on the land, and then what's going on above it. They're related somehow, but I don't know how. And the shit that's in that mesa, I don't think it's what people think it is. I think it's scarier. And I think it's man-made. Some of it is.
Yeah, well, we know for a fact that they buried all our biological and radiation stuff. I mean, that's not a secret. Where they buried it, we don't know, but they buried it.
Absolutely, Lady V. Go check this out. I forget what network it's on. Is it on History or Discovery? But I watch it through another service. when it comes on, and I watch it through that service. And you're not going to be able to use that service. And but absolutely highly recommend that show. Into and out of the bottle hollow. It's all related. It's all related. There's no such thing as coincidences. It's one of the things I've learned being friends with cops all my life.
Yeah.
I learned to look at things that people call coincidence, and I go, really? You think that's a coincidence that happened? Okay.
Chris, have you heard of any activity above, was it Yucca? Whatever the name of the nuclear, where we store nuclear waste at?
I've
Yucca Mountain
nuclear sites. I've heard all kinds of.
You guys are killing me calling it nuclear. It's nuclear.
Whatever. I'll
no,
say
not whatever.
Nuclear.
Dude, one's a word and the other one isn't.
All right.
I'm a word Yahtzee.
All right. So here's the deal. So we know that in Tuxedo Park were nuclear reactors there. One of them leaked. We know that for a fact. We got the paperwork on it, and we've had all kinds of strangeness happen there. I mean, we've had all kinds of sightings. The whole thing happened. Now, one thing that people don't know about Tuxedo Park, that there was one of the most secret labs in the world that was there doing everything that Gary was telling about, brainwave experiments, direct energy weapons, radar, everything was being done in this small little village called Tuxedo Park. It was so hidden and it was in plain view. Nobody really knew what it was. It was created by a physicist called Alfred Loomis, who was a billionaire. And he brought in all these Nazi scientists there to do that. And a lot of strange anomalies are happening there. So, yes, anytime you get some kind of radiation spill, something shows up. So I think Gary's on the right track when he says, hey, some of this stuff is man-made and we're getting these strange anomalies at this place, because I see it at Tuxedo Park.
Well, that's why I was asking about Yucca Mountain, because that's our main storage facility nowadays. So if there's sightings and stuff around there, that may point to that there's something going on with, and that may more point to there being something dumped.
Real quick because Ryan's leaving, and I don't want to miss an opportunity to get. We need to stay in touch, Ryan, because I really want to pick your brain. That is my Twitter account, my personal Twitter account at Gary Cassell. Please contact me either by the email that I gave you or meet me up on Twitter. We can chat privately. I would very much like to have you on the show, pick your brain, get your opinion on some of these things, have you on as a guest, absolutely as a guest. It would be wonderful to have you, dude. And I want to thank you for dropping in, dude. It's really awesome that you did. It's not the first time it's happened to me where somebody popped in there. I'm talking about something, but I love it when it happens. It's serendipitous and deeply appreciated. I also like to know how you happened onto the show. Did one of your friends recommend it? But I will, if you contact me, I will stay in touch with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Is that his channel?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to be following you here right after the show. Absolutely. Thanks a lot. And by the way, John O'Staines, who is in the chat, is our talent manager. He's the guy in charge of setting up guests and stuff. So you two can connect too. Oh, and look, it's my girlfriend. She is in her new apartment in Vienna. It's wonderful. And look, the one thing it would do, as funny as silly as I can get, I am really serious about all this shit. I created UFO Wednesday.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you told Ryan? Thank you, Rick. That is really awesome, man. I need to connect with you too, because that was very kind of you to do that. I'd also like to know who you are. Like, who are you? Like the song, Who are you? Who?
Carefully
Did
get
you
his
know
claim.
that was the very first song the Who wrote? I'm lying. I'm like Bigelow. I'm a liar. And this dude owns the ranch now. I don't know what it is. He sets off alarms in my head, and Don called it. He thinks he's a bullshit artist too. There's something about him. He acts too gosh and shucks sometimes. You're not that.
Are you talking about Bigelow?
No, the dude that owns the ranch now that's pretty much owns the show.
Oh, Brandon.
Brandon. There's just something. Like I cannot stand it when people try to act naive and innocent and don't know shit. He bought this ranch with knowledge of some kind. And we don't know what that knowledge is. His show never tells us. I don't know.
Yeah, but isn't it curious that Bigelow would sell this ranch? Brandon would pick
I don't think it's curious. I think it's odd in a way that makes no sense why he sold this ranch.
It doesn't make sense.
I'm just telling you, it doesn't make sense. And this is, as a police detective, homicide detective, you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. I'm thinking the same thing.
If you hide a body
something wrong
on your property, the last thing you're going to do is sell your property.
Unless you're so scared of it that you know that something bad is going to happen there. And I'm not talking extraterrestrial. I'm talking, that this thing can create such a health hazard.
Well, it was brought up during the show that could this be a dump site?
Yeah. I'm thinking that way. I'm really seriously thinking that way. And, because radiation can cause all kinds of things. And you don't know if it's what else they got down there. That could be a dump site for biological weapons, neurological weapons. I mean, electronic equipment that went awry. I mean, we might be storing AI down there someday.
God only knows what's underneath there.
Yeah.
But hold on, what's this? There's some Mormon connection with Brandon. Stephen Greenstreet kind of alluded to it in the last basement office. That's interesting. I think Brandon might be wanting to find the Holy Grail for the Mormons. I got to tell you, I have no problem with Mormons. I really don't. I think some of them are the nicest people. I think it's another hokey religion. I really do. Absolutely built on lies. Like only that one guy could read the text. Whatever. I like that episode of South Park where when they're telling the story of Mormonism, and every single time that he comes up with information about how he was contacted by an angel and shit, they sing the song "Dum Dum 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 Dum." It's so funny. But they're
I'm curious
people,
why they
Mormons.
think there's a Mormon connection there. That they would think that the Mormon religion would have something to do with the ranch. Other than
well, I got to tell you, I find this interesting because I wrote a story that it's just in story form. It's not in a script form yet. That I want to do as a graphic novel because everybody knows I'm a graphic novel artist, comic artist. How I make my living. Also working on film. And I wrote this story, and I read the story idea to somebody else, and they were like, "Holy shit!" Because a professor I knew through my brother Stephen. He was a professor of history, the University of Arizona, and he started talking about how he believed that the Superstition Mountains were where the Grail and other artifacts were left. And he was talking about this shit like 25 years ago when I heard about it, that the Templars, the survivors, fled this way to the United States and went across the country looking for the New Jerusalem. And they found it outside Phoenix. This is
really?
Yeah.
I've never heard
this
that.
Is just an interesting theory. And he believed that the Templars buried that treasure in the Superstition Mountains. their treasure. And so it inspired me to write this story about the Templars and how this group of Templars died defending one tribe against another tribe. And to honor the Templars, they delivered the collé to one tribal member who's trained in the way of the Templars. And he is left in the cave to guard this treasure throughout time. And there will always be one guarding the
That
Templar
sounds a little bit
treasures.
too much like
Fuck off.
Last Crusade.
I wrote this long before that shit. And
it's all new to me.
But yeah, this guy, this guy was talking about this shit long before Indiana Jones to my brother. And it's because of my brother I found out about him. And I can't find him. I forgot his name. Years have gone by. And it's a fascinating idea that that treasure could be there. We know something's in those mountains. Every single time they do a show about it, the show ends. Not because of a lack of popularity, but because people get freaked out making the shows. And they go, I don't want to go back in there. That was weird. Shit happened. People die there, still die there. Murdered.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know anything about it, Gary, so I'm soaking up your knowledge.
I grew up in Phoenix, man. Phoenix, Arizona. And every day I would get up and look out our apartment window and I could see Superstition Mountain. Because back when I was a kid, there was no humidity in Phoenix, no smog. So you could see for miles. And I'd get up and look out, and that part of Phoenix hadn't been populated yet. It was still desert. And I'd look out of I lived on Camelback Apartments, and I'd look out our living room window, and there'd be Superstition Mountain out there.
Wow.
And I was fascinated with it. My dad used to, I told you, my dad introduced me to all these books, and he would read me these accounts of the Lost Dutchman's gold mine, all this shit. He believed something else was going on there. So the seeds were planted in me as a child for you want to learn all this shit and be involved with it. But what's this? Hold on. I missed this. Oh, that one. Yeah, absolutely. I would be surprised. Yep. Brandon's a weird dude. There's something weird about him. I get a vibe off of him, man. Just something off. I think he's being deceptive. And by the way, people who don't know, I'm what's referred to as a super empath. I am naturally trained to read facial expressions. My brain is wired that way. Was not taught. And I can call, I'm a human lie detector. I can tell when someone's bullshitting me. And it's just bizarre. That's why I don't know why I never became a cop. I really don't know. My brain was wired to be a cop. If I just hadn't been a super criminal, right?
I know they're hiring all over the United States, so you might want to reconsider.
Too old. I'm too old.
You're never too old.
Man, I'm almost 60, dude.
You're too old.
I'm too old.
You're too old.
Das Wolfen read my mind with the Indiana Jones reference. Yeah, I knew where you were going the minute you started to say something, John. I knew exactly where you were going. Fuck you. Read your mind. I read John's mind. I knew exactly where he's going. Fuck you, John. So Mount Rushmore before the facing. Check that out.
What's that? That's interesting. What's that about?
Well, I know there's a cave system there, but it's a man-made cave system.
Yeah.
Because they plan to actually put the Constitution and all that shit in there as a museum. And it just never got finished. No, it absolutely works. My problem with women is I turn it off with women, and I ignore all the all the alarms, the klaxon, wailing. No, don't. No. The little guy in my head's going, don't do it. Don't do it. Sure, I'll call you next week. Yeah, I'm an idiot. But I've learned to use it as an adult. It got me out of so many fights. Because I could feel a fight coming on before it. It's like I'm a human barometer for anxiety and anger. I can just read it. My sister has the ability too. We're both super empaths, and and super empath means that not only can we read, we can also project. I can make people feel better just talking to them, relaxing them. And my sister and I used it knowing when shit was about to go down in the house, because we grew up in a very abusive home. And she and I would always not be there when stuff went down. We'd always leave right before it happened. We got that read, man. Saved my ass many, many times.
Good for
I think I'd probably be dead now if it hadn't been for my ability to read situations quickly. Rushmore domination was an act of dominance, an insult to Sacred Mountain. Oh, that one. Yeah, I don't know much about that. I do know that I've always wanted them to finish the statue of, was it Sitting Bull? They were carving into the mountain.
Crazy Horse.
Was it Crazy Horse?
Crazy
I've always
Horse?
wanted to
Really?
see that finished.
I thought it was Crazy Horse.
I don't know. All I know is I always wanted to see that finished. I think I will tell people this, and a lot of people don't know actual history. They'll go, well, the United States government has always been anti-American Indian. I went, that's not true.
No.
What happened was our Congress was absolutely fighting to defend them and make sure that we stopped messing with them. And then we got a president named Andrew Jackson, who was, I hate that guy. When you start learning about Andrew Jackson and what he did as president, you'll hate him too. American Congress says we will not defy these treaties. And Andrew Jackson says, well, I'll tell you what, I'll bring the army and you bring whoever you're going to bring. We'll see who gets to break that treaty or not. And he broke every treaty. He was a piece of shit. And he's on the $20 bill. It makes me sick. Don't mind.
Sad.
I do spend the $20 bills when I have them. But then again, I don't use cash anymore. I haven't used cash in years. I don't like cash. It's gross.
It's going away anyways.
Good.
We're going to have a cashless system probably in the next.
I'm OCD germaphobe. I don't want to touch money. I don't like money. Assimilation before genocide, always. We had a Congress at that time that was really fighting to make sure that the treaties were respected and held. And there's always somebody. And a lot of people blame Ulysses S. Grant for what happened in the Black Hills. No. You can blame Colonel Custer for what happened there. I think he was still a colonel at the time, because Grant sent him there to see if there was gold in them there hills. And he told him, the order was given, do not report to anybody else but me personally what your results are. Do not speak to anybody in the media, the news. No, absolutely. He forbade him. He gave him the order not to speak to anybody but him. And Custer is the reason why the Plain Wars began. There in the Black Hills.
What did he do, Gary?
He went straight to the media.
Oh, boy.
With what he found. Betrayed Grant. Grant was forced to break the treaty. He fought it tooth and nail until the end, the bitter end. And we were in a depression. We're in a very small, but we were in a depression at the time. So a gold rush was just what was needed to boom the economy again. And they used it.
I was right. It is Crazy Horse. And the irony is it's in Custer County, South Dakota.
Wow.
Custer was a real piece of shit. He really was.
Okay. Gentlemen, we have 1 minute to go.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank our audience on KGRA. I hope you guys had a good time listening to the show. It was great having Ryan in the audience. Man, I hope to get him on soon. That'd be great. And I do want to thank Rick Roberts for making that connection. I appreciate it, dude. And again, I want to thank Andy Morrow, Sean Estep, Penny, Slasher Fred, Market Jibas, thank you, come again, Joe's Atmosphere, Dragon Ruse, Mexican Iron Man. I almost read BRB. John O. Staines, Lady V Elements, Alex Moore, Cam's Crash Courses, Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips, E-Hacker, my buddy John, Skinwalker Ranch Ryan, Rick Roberts, let's see, Anima Confusa, of course, Love of My Life. And anybody else? Did I miss anybody? Is that everybody? That's everybody.
No, we're fine.
All right. That's the end of the show, guys. I'll see you in about an hour for Dangerous Military Nerds. We got a big guests from Benghazi. And past that, we'll see you next week for another UFO Wednesday. Bye now.
Those sons of bitches.
Ma, I'm doing a show.